Founder Culture, the podcast for founders and startup leaders who understand that building a business may be hard, but building a team, now that's where things get tricky. I'm Romaine, right? Founder of Just Right Consulting LLC and creator of Thrive or Derive. In every episode, I take one real team issue, break down the behaviors driving it, and provide strategies on how to fix it. Welcome to the show. So today's episode is called We've Added Great People, but Something Feels Off. Think about this. 6 months ago, your team was locked in. You were moving fast, solving problems together, even laughing and joking in your group chats. You guys were like a vibe. You had a rhythm and everyone just got it. Now, though, you've added some people to your team and things feel different. Your business is growing, you're hiring new folks, you're excited about that. But now you're noticing that there's side conversations or chats going on during your meetings, there's messages being missed, and just a noticeable shift in the energy of your team. And you don't just notice that shift, you feel it yourself. You used to be so confident as a leader, but now you're second guessing yourself, hesitating before you speak, and constantly repeating yourself just to make sure that everyone gets it. Now, I want to talk about this because unlike previous episodes where I say, oh, some teams deal with this and many leaders deal with that, this is something that all teams deal with. Every team, regardless of the service or product that you offer or the industry that you're in, every team deals with this when the dynamics of your team changes. And the dynamics change for a range of reasons. For this episode, we're talking about what happens when you add new people to your team. Now, let's jump into the challenge because I want you to know this is something that happens naturally. It's not something you did wrong. It's not something you're missing. It's that as your team grows, under the surface, tension builds as the connections that you had as a smaller team and the way that you communicated and the way that you worked no longer works, right? What you built and established when you had a team of only 5 people doesn't always work when you now have 15 people. And you've got to address those things or that tension continues to build and it turns to frustration and unproductivity, right? Just totally missing the mark. And we want to catch that early. This is one of the reasons why having a comprehensive onboarding program is so important. I'm not talking about just saying, this is the history of the company, this is what we do. I'm talking about a real comprehensive process that brings everyone together, brings your new hires into the fold, and everyone builds together so that everyone can be successful as a team. It's unrealistic to think that they're just going to fall in place and things are going to continue the way they've been working. You've got to be proactive about it. So what's the behavior behind this challenge? It's what's called culture drift. And unlike in previous episodes where I talked about individual behaviors, this is an organizational behavior, which is why it happens to every team at some point in time. Culture drift is the gradual evolution of the way your team works, your norms, your values, your behaviors, and just how you show up both individually and collectively. This is a natural occurrence for every team. And while it happens over time, generally, anyway, organically, naturally, when you add people to the team, it happens right away. There is no gradual about that. The dynamics change, the team shifts, and you've got to do something about it. Now, the reason culture drift happens, particularly for startups where people are wearing multiple hats, is that every team operates with its own kind of unwritten rules and invisible standards and expectations that everybody just knows, and so you do them. But when you hire new people, they don't know. They don't know, and you've got to integrate them into this system and redefine and rebuild that system as you grow. Now, here are some signs that culture drift could be happening, whether you've hired new people recently or not. When roles become unclear. So when it's no longer clear who owns what. Let's say Tom, your CFO, loves to go to trade shows and conferences because he loves to meet new people. But then you hire this new marketing person, and now they're doing all of the branding and narrative for the company. Who goes now to those trade shows and those conferences? Do they go together? If they do, who owns what, right? Those are the kind of questions that you may start to have when culture drift is happening. Another sign of culture drift is when things start to take longer to get done. Maybe you could send emails on your own before. You don't need to check in with anyone. I built the proposal, I'm sending it out, it's good to go. But now, again, let's say you hired that marketing person, and now you've got to align whatever you send out with that new branding and that new messaging. So culture drift is happening, even though you may think it shouldn't happen, or you should be able to just keep going and operate as normal. Another reason or another sign that culture drift could be happening is that your group chats get quieter. Like I said earlier, you guys were laughing and joking in your group chats. Yeah, you're getting work done, but you're also sharing about your personal lives and vacation photos and just having a good time. You guys are in sync. But when that starts to quiet and you start to see other chats popping up, right? Now you're in this chat and that chat and that chat, and this one is all the old folks, and this one is just the new folks. That's a sign culture drift is happening. The last one I'm going to share is your meetings. When they start to feel heavier and you're not in sync anymore, and it feels like instead of collaborating, everyone's just giving updates, that's a sign culture drift is happening. Again, it happens naturally. It happens to every team. There's nothing you did wrong, but you can fix it. So what's the reset? It's a reset. When culture drift is happening, what you do to fix it is actually call a behavior reset for your team. So you bring your team together, and collectively you all redesign what it looks like to work together now. Whenever you're feeling friction or frustration on your team or seeing any of those signs that I mentioned, take a moment to pause and reset and go through these things as a team. The first is revisit your norms. What are those unspoken rules about how you work, and do they still work? Are they still effective and efficient? Right? Look at those things, take them from unspoken to spoken and clear. Everyone knows that Tom's going to continue to go to the conferences, but he's going to consult with this marketing person to make sure that everything's aligned. The next thing you want to do is further that conversation by making anything else that's implicit explicit. Put it all out on the table. Create an open, safe space to have the conversation around what else is hindering our ability to work as a team and work through that. And the last step, go ahead and redesign how your team works as a team, right? How are you guys going to communicate? How will you make decisions? How will you hold each other accountable? Actually create that, build that as a team, and decide that everyone will move forward following those standards. So we've talked about the behavior. Culture drift is an organizational behavior, not individual. And I just gave you some tips to reset. The takeaway from all of this is the fact that growing your business is more than just adding products, services, and clients. As your business grows, you have to also evolve how your team works together so your team can work with you and not against you. If this resonates with you, or it sounds familiar, or if you're just not sure and you want to learn more, reach out to me. There's information in the show notes on how to connect with me, how to follow me. I love to talk with you to just look at where your team is and what may be available or what kind of things we can work on together to bring your team in alignment. And if you're not ready for that, that's fine. Hop in the comments if you're watching on YouTube and share your thoughts. I would love also to hear your experiences and how this connects with you. Until next time, build trust and results will follow.